In November, we were celebrating a World Cup. Obviously, the Cricket World Cup. Women's 2025. But there was another history that was created right after that. And the woman who has led that history for over the years, I can of course start off with, she was a champion at 14. But because, what more interests me is the longevity, the resilience, and the infectious smile of Joshna Chinappa. Welcome to the podcast. But Joshna, as I started off, I will say the World Cup, a huge win, a monkey off the back in some ways.
Absolutely, because when I played the World Cup 2 years prior, we had only won a bronze medal, and a couple of months after that, about 6 months after that, I ended up going for a knee surgery.
Yes.
So I really wasn't sure if I would ever come back to playing. And of course, when I made the decision that I will come back, to make that World Cup team was really special because I wasn't in the team yet. Another player had pulled out, and I was lucky that I actually got in. But I had been training and preparing for such opportunities,
Yes.
and when that opportunity came, everything just clicked. I had such a good team in Anahat, Abe, and Bela. And with the crowd support and having all of us as a team together really was very motivating for me, and I was just so happy to have played a part in that gold in front of my home crowd.
So, for someone who has played for so long, I want to know what happens when you are in a team with, the fairly younger ones, and then the moment is so huge. How much pressure did you have? Because of course, the younger ones would be looking up to you. And what all do you tell them?
Actually, it's very interesting because when I played with Deepika,
Yeah.
and when we played doubles together, if we were on the team together, she was always like, she would lead us in many ways. Like I always kind of looked up to her to like, what's the lead? And then when I was playing with Anahat, I'm looking at her like, okay, are you going to lead now? And then I forget that she's only 17 years old. And it's actually my responsibility
Yes.
to kind of take that on now. And the good thing is that everyone's so solid individually that I don't feel like I need to manage anything. I just need to show up as my best, put in that effort, and I'm there to win, and they kind of see that, and they also obviously bring it. And the younger lot are so they're very intelligent. They have a wonderful team around them. They're playing the pro tour. They're doing so well. So it honestly makes my job a lot easier now that I'm obviously much older and played for the country for such a long time. That honestly it's just easier for me today because I have so much support in all of them.
But when you see someone like Anahat, you said Anahat is 17. You have actually won a championship when you were 14. So how different is it for a young Anahat and a young Joshna in the squash circuit, if you say infrastructure-wise and all that?
I would say when I was starting out, there was not much support or recognition for a game like squash. It was predominantly a club level game. You had to be of a certain economic status to be able to play this game. And when I started out, there was no one I had to look up to.
Yes.
It was just my dad and me figuring it out as we go along. And so when I started playing like the junior circuit, it was literally just me traveling alone. And today, of course, things are so different. There's so much awareness. There is a lot of support from our state government, from the central government, and everyone is so much more knowledgeable today than I was as a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
So the things that I have been doing in my training over the last 10 years, someone like an Anahat already has access to that from the time she was really young. And it just goes to show that if you can support these kids and give them the right support financially, in terms of even a coach, the trainer, everything is so structured and scientific today, and their results speak for itself just by having such a solid plan and a team around them.
Absolutely. But over the years, what has led to this whole squash movement? That's one question. The other thing is, it's a little difficult when there's absolutely no recognition, and at one point I don't think it was very sure if squash was ever going to make it to Olympics as well. So what was the motivation behind still sticking with the game?
For me, I loved playing for India. Like that was my biggest motivation from the time I was a 10-year-old, was to play for India. And as a junior, when you start winning medals, you start winning tournaments, that kind of encourages you. I had very, very supportive parents. My one or two sponsors and well-wishers who really helped me get into the game were so crucial to where I got to as well. And then of course, support from the federation. Then you had, Saurabh there, you had Deepika. So I think between the three of us, when we started winning medals for the country is when, people actually started recognizing squash as a sport that was bringing in the big medals for the country at the Commonwealth Games, at the Asian Games. But obviously at that time it was not in the Olympics, so there was still something lacking in terms of support and recognition. But I would say because we managed to do that for the last 20 years of our career is when more support started coming in. So now the kids behind us are getting, the fruits of that, which is awesome to see. I feel so happy and proud that they are getting supports from the corporates. We are part of the top scheme consistently. And now that squash is in the Olympics, that's even better, because for some reason, until you're an Olympic sport, you're not considered like a mainstream sport. And but whatever, it's just really nice that after it's been included in the Olympics, just to see the level of support that's increased is fantastic.
But as you said, there are still so many areas, and there's still squash, for example, is perceived as a game that rich people play in their free time. It's almost equivalent to golf in people's mind, and golf, by the way, is a serious sport. India had woken up to Aditya Ashok right in the wee hours of the morning. But honestly, how much pressure is it that when you're in a sport like squash, and maybe not cricket, but you have to be at the top always to still find a little place?
When I started playing because I loved the sport. My father introduced me to the game, and it was all that I knew how to do. So you're not really thinking about money and where you're going to end up and things like that. So even till and I always say this: if you're a squash player, you're truly playing it because you love playing the game and you're just passionate about playing for the country. Like I at no point can I say I'm doing this for the money. And that's fine. That's been my journey, and I feel very proud that I can be an athlete representing my country in whatever sport. And for me, it was squash. And we have got that recognition. Yes, of course, it's never going to be compared to cricket. And I'm very happy with whoever's getting recognition. It doesn't take away from what I do or what I need to do. And of course, I think wins of other sports that are not mainstream should definitely be celebrated and highlighted. Like, Anahat winning a big PSA tournament, any of the other sports that are doing well. And I think that can only change thanks to you guys, because when you give recognition to these sports is when people really they become household names, right? And I think that's changed quite a bit over the last few years.
Now the whole sports science part, has recently come in. I'm not 100% sure when you started playing, how much were you aware of this sports science, and how much did you have that at your disposal? Like, for example, the psychologists, the nutritionists, did you have them, or when did you realize,
I would say growing up when you're 15, 16, I didn't have it as much. Also, like financially, it was a lot harder for someone like me to have those things, because for me just about going to a tournament was great. And of course only later on when I first started winning a medal for the country, like when I was probably 21, 22, is when we actually got some little bit of support from the state government. And but when I was 22, 23, I realized how important it was to have a really good team around you, a good coach, a good psychologist, nutrition, and all that's costing money, and I was lucky that a lot of the people that worked with me initially did it for nothing. And when I did get into a position where I could pay them comfortably is when they actually took money from me. So I'm very thankful that there were people who believed in me before I could really prove myself to them. But it does make such a difference, because even till today I still have that team, and I know that as an athlete, like, you are going to be challenged constantly
Yeah.
with so many different things, injuries, a lull period,
Yeah.
losses, and it's so important to have a really good team around you, and that's what I've always invested in is you can't do this alone. You need people around you to help you through a lot of things in life. And I've just been really fortunate that I've had that team. But in terms of sports science, of course, I had access to it a little later on in my career, probably not as a junior so much. And it does play a huge role. Like, you do need those inputs coming in. You got to strategize, you got to see your opponents, how they're playing, you got to look at your own heart rate, how you are operating in training, in a match. All those things are very, very important to take you to that next level and keep you at that level.
Yeah. I'll ask you a question that I've always wanted to ask. So say a match is going on, one vital point, there can be as loud a crowd as you want, but inside that squash court, you are alone. What goes on in your mind and how do you control that heartbeat?
So for me, I've been playing alone since I was 11 years old. So I have traveled the world from the time I was 11 on my own. So because my parents initially could not afford to travel with me. So I got used to very quickly fighting my own battles and knowing how to handle myself on court, because no one was going to be there to motivate me or push me. So I had to learn how to win matches on my own. And I got so comfortable with pressure in many ways. Like, a lot of things that people look at as pressure, I was like, this is just normal for me to fight and, be match ball down or like be 2-love down and, win a match or win a tournament. And it just became so normal. Of course, it's not that I'm used to it. I still get nerves. I still have my anxiety and things like that. But when you're on that court, you really have to find ways to keep bringing yourself back to the center point, because it's easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
It's easy to get bogged down if you're not playing well. And like I said, I just enjoy the fact that I'm there. It's not always enjoyable, but you have a job to do.
Yeah.
So some days it's a job, some days I'm like, oh, I love it here. Some days I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm thinking of taking a flight back. But so all kinds of emotions run through, but it's just important to find ways to bring yourself back, take it point by point, kind of reset within the point.
Yeah.
So these little things that we try and be aware of.
But Joshna, over the years, you have achieved a number of things. Now you've got the monkey off the back. What next? No, how do you look? All of us wake up in the morning motivated about something. What is it that, apart from your alarm clock?
I'm not very motivated all the time.
Yeah.
I really am not, but I am very disciplined about what I need to get done during the day. And of course, there are days I'm very motivated and I'm like, yes, let's go and all. But those days are not always there. It's just that I know in my head that I need to get this much amount of training done in the week. And obviously, as I'm at the latest stage of my career, age-wise as well, I have to be smarter about my body. So I know what kind of training I'm going to do. I know today a lot more, like, okay, if I can't play today or I don't want to play today because my body is not recovered, I don't train. So for me right now, the Asian Games are my main priority, which is in September. And, I look forward to trying to make that team first. So for that, I need to also play the professional tour, so that I'm doing that now. So I kind of plan my tournaments a lot better. I don't play the way I used to, like week in, week out. I probably do it once every 3-4 weeks. I play a tournament, but I really plan what I'm going to play today and then go for that. So yeah, it's a little different today, but right now I'm only thinking till September. So I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Because you said this, I also wanted to ask, so with age, and when I'm saying this, I don't mean she's old. I just mean she has been playing since she was 10. How do you adjust your routine? Because somewhere, I was speaking to Saurav one day, and he was saying at later stages of your career, it becomes more about recovery than about just mad training. So how do you
I work with a very good team, very good fitness trainer. So she manages my program and she tells me basically how much I need to push, when I need to push, like what tournaments we're preparing for. So that really helps me. As far as squash is concerned, I probably play only 3 times a week from like before I do morning, evening, but I don't need to do that today because I also have to preserve my body. I've got to be smarter about my joints. I've come back from 2 knee surgeries. So as much as there are days I want to push, I know I have to back off just so that in the long term I'm protected.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of very simple today in terms of recovery is very important, you know, warming up, cooling down. I have to pay so much attention to those things. So I have to warm up for like 1 hour to train for half an hour.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just these little things that I have to do, and it's part of my routine today. And yeah, it's just, you got to just accept where you are also in your career. I feel very blessed and fortunate that I'm still playing today. So if I'm going to do that, then I need to do the right things to complement that.
One more thing, you know, as you said, okay, this might sound a little weird, but what happens when you get an injury at this stage of your career? God forbid you don't, but does that scare you in the sense that, is my career gone now?
Well, 2 years back, like I told you, I needed to do the surgery, and when I was doing the surgery for that, which was a cartilage issue, there was no cartilage in my knee. It was mainly to just have quality of life because I was in so much pain from just normal things, and I'm like, you know, I have a whole life ahead of me that's beyond squash. I want to be able to run, play other sports, do all those kinds of things. So, but then my surgeon also said, no, you can definitely come back to playing. And then when he put that fire in my in my head, I was like, okay, maybe this is possible. And in 5 months I came back to playing. I won a few tournaments, and you know, that's where I took it. And then of course my mom was very concerned. She's like, you know, you've already done whatever you need to, like why are you still like pushing it? And I said, you know what, I still have 2 really good years left, and I don't want to look back and have any regrets. And you know, thank God I didn't give up, because some of my best matches, best tournaments came after that, after that second knee surgery. But having said that, I am smarter today. Like even though there are days I feel invincible, I'm like, no, you need to chill out and you need to just enjoy not playing, not training for a few days, and yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
I have last 2 questions. One is, we are talking about fitness, recovery, and nutrition. But how much do you think is the awareness of small things like bare minimum? How much are the athletes aware of, say, something like their blood group, you know, which becomes important for athletes? How much do you see that awareness now at this age?
I take blood tests every 3-4 months just to make sure everything is, you know, functioning well, things like that. I found that most of the time my vitamin D is really low. So I think that's a common thing for a lot of Indians. And I found, because I would find that, you know, I was getting a little moody, a little, you know, my energy levels were really low. And so I would do these blood tests and I would just tell you all the parameters and the metrics. So every time I would increase the vitamin D supplement, I found that I was so much better. I was more, you know, excited and things like that. So little things like this that really make a big difference. I try to monitor and be aware of. Of course, like I'm very particular about my diet. You know, it's not easy at this stage. I really have to watch my diet, because I find that if I stray even a couple of days, I can feel the difference. And like, there's such a difference for me if I'm 1 kilo up.
Yeah.
Like I can feel it on court, and it messes with my head, and I'm like, you know, I really have to get back into watching my diet again and just being so strict about these things. Again, it comes with the game. You know, if you want to perform at that level, you have to look at these little things. And another thing that I really pay attention to is my headspace, my mental health. You know, meditation, yoga, a lot of breathing work to just really calm the body down. There's a lot going on generally in life, and I find that if I can focus on being stable throughout the chaos, like I'm fine.
Okay, before I let you go, we'll have a rapid fire round, full of fire, you know. But you have to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, no thinking. One match that defined your career.
I would say the one with Deepika, when we both played the finals of the Asian Championships in Chennai in the mall, and it was a very feisty match. There was so much crowd. There were thousands of people who had come to watch us. There was a lot of pressure, and I won in 5. And I just remember that match being one of the highlights of my life.
Hardest opponent you have faced?
I would say any of the Egyptians. They're really tough, really strong.
But we have got over that, and won the World Cup. One squash shot you love playing?
I love the neck.
I did not understand much, sorry.
It's that flat out shot that drops
That's
at the
better.
bottom of the floor.
Now I get it. A sport you secretly wish you had played professionally?
Badminton.
You would have been very good at it.
I think so.
But I would have never wanted to be her opponent because the smashes, oh my God. One athlete you admired the most outside squash?
PT Usha.
One piece of advice for young Indian athletes?
Focus on your physical and mental health equally.
One word that defines Joshna Chinappa, and you of course can't use Joshna or Chinappa.
Full of Josh.
Those three words, one word.
Full of, one word, right?
Yes.
Fire.
There you go. The rapid fire was full of fire, and let's hope that she keeps burning the fire within and keeps winning because honestly, Asian Games medal, of course, but let me put on a little bit more pressure on Joshna. Olympics debut for squash, why not? Bring us a medal, please. We are anyway starved of medals. But Joshna, of course, fantastic catching up with you always. And let's hope you just get bigger and better from here.
Thank you.